Okay friends, today someone asked me, or rather commented, that my spiritual guru says that if I'm having faith and surrender to God, if I'm sincere with my spiritual practice, I will not need astrology. I will not be affected by the limitations shown in my astrology chart. This is what the person commented. Maybe they didn't want to do the hard work or change or bring about the change in their personality or something like that. I don't know why. So my response to that is very important because I can talk about this forever, and every time this topic comes, I like to clarify what it's all about. So if you're doing a spiritual practice, will you get rid of astrological limitations? No. The answer is no. Will it help? Yes. Spiritual practice definitely helps to create an awareness. It also helps you to create some kind of distance or some kind of immunity from the disease of the mind. So what is your astrology chart? First understand that astrology chart, the concept is that it is your karma, and it is shaped in a certain way. It is so that there is a script for this life. As per that script, you will learn certain things, you will face certain challenges, you will face certain opportunities and auspicious things, you will meet certain kind of people in your life, you will have certain kinds of patterns in this life for the purpose of the karmic lesson, and that is encapsulated, that is shown in this document called as your natal chart or horoscope or Vedic astrology chart or Kundali, whatever you want to call it. So given this background, your karma is not going to change right away because you're doing 20 minutes of some kriya or something. It is going to change over a period of time. If you're putting in many hours of sadhana, yes, the changes can be bigger. But mostly I've noticed, even with spiritual practitioners, their material life is quite fucked up, because this karma is a very strong force. Swami Vivekananda used to say, only the free have free will. You have to be completely free from the grip of the mind. Now what is the mind? Mind is a limitation. Otherwise, as per Advaita Vedanta, as per our spirituality, you are everything. You are the source. You are a wave in the ocean. So you are the ocean, right? But think of it as a wave. A wave is limited. Even a big wave is limited, small wave is limited. That's why it appears as a wave. That's why it has its own identity as a wave. So you are part of the source. You are appearing. You are playing a certain role in this world. You are a small wave, big wave, a leader, a prime minister, worker, toilet cleaner, whatever your role is. And that limitation is from the mind. That is why the mind is a limitation. It is your limited identity. Okay? And with this limited identity, you can play a role. So it is some people who talk about Advaita, they say it is God playing different roles. It is the source manifesting in different forms. Just like from flour, wheat flour, you can make pizza, you can make chapati, you can make bread. These are different forms, and it's limited. Form itself is limitation. Name and form is limitation. That's because there's a limited form, you can name it. You can call it bread, right? But if it is everything, it cannot be named. So the limitation has come, and hence it can be named. So this is getting a little bit philosophical. So again, coming to the point that only the free have free will. So if you transcended the mind, you are open to all the possibilities of the source, because that limitation is no longer binding on you. Your social conditioning, your genetic conditioning is not binding on you. Nowadays, there are spiritual gurus who will say, okay, do this spiritual practice. You don't have to do anything for your ancestors. You don't have to do anything for the world. You don't have to bother about your family. You don't have to bother about astrology. Now tell me, astrology is a science given by whom? In India, Vedic astrology, Jyotish as we call it, very nice term, Jyotish, the light of the divine. Okay, or the light, celestial light, or light of divine, whatever you want to call it. So Jyotish means light of the divine. So this is a light, this is a guiding light which is given to us by the rishis, by the great sages. The astrology which I practice, which is commonly practiced in India, is called Parashari Jyotish because it comes from the Rishi Parashara, one of the main rishis, and he's a Maharishi, and Parashara's son was Vyasa. If I'm not mistaken, Parashara's son is Vyasa, Ved Vyasa, you know, who wrote the epics, you know, who wrote the Mahabharata and things like that. So it comes from the rishis. And why did the rishis want to spend time making such a complex, intricate science? This is one of the problems. The people who are talking about spirituality, they have not taken the trouble to study astrology, because astrology is very complex. I remember a computer programmer, he was telling me, I tried to make the astrology program, it was so complex. Astrology is complex, so many calculations, so many permutations, combinations, and then you have to decode from that. Of course, all of us who are astrologers, I think we know only 5% or 2% of the entire knowledge. The ones who are experienced might know a little bit more. The ones who are scholars might know a little bit more. But in terms of application, we use very few methods out of infinite, you know, methods that are available. Thousands of methods and thousands of ways of using those methods. So, my friends, it's important for us to see here that the rishis were not wasting their time by giving us astrology, right? And the rishis were very highly evolved, divine beings coming from the Godhead itself. It is not, you know, rishis were not like ordinary human beings who just wanted to invent something for the sake of it, you know, just like we invent all sorts of things, you know, nowadays. So, for the story, for the play, for the movie of our life, we need astrology so that we can function better. Like for example, you have a leakage in the pipe in your house. You're not going to ask God, you know, okay, I'm doing my spiritual practice, so the leakage has to get fixed. No, you will have to call a plumber. It's very simple. You call a plumber and he's going to do the job. There is a story, beautiful story, which is told in church many times by some pastors and priests. You know, they say a man prays to God so that he wins the lottery, and he goes on praying, goes on praying, goes on praying every day. And one fine day he gets very angry at God and he asks God, why don't you, you know, grant my wish? And he says, God says, I'm ready to grant your wish. Why don't you buy the lottery ticket? You never buy the lottery ticket and you say, I should win the lottery, I should win the lottery, I should get big money. There is another story connected with this. There is this one day everyone gathers at the church to pray for rains, because there were no rains for a long amount of time and there was a impending drought. So they wanted to pray so that God can give rains. And at the end, the priest said, you know, we have prayed, but we don't have any faith. So everyone got very angry and they said, what do you mean we don't have faith? We've come, left all our work and we've come to church, blah, blah, blah. And the priest says, if you had faith, where are your umbrellas? No, none of you are carrying umbrellas. That means you don't have faith that God is going to give rains. You know, so this is the whole game here. That in this limited Swarupa, in this limited form, astrology will matter for you. Your 20 minutes, 30 minutes practice is not going to make such a big, you know, change that you will not be bothered. Now, someone like Ramana Maharshi, He was not identified with the body, he was not identified with the mind. So for him it did not matter. It did not bother him. If something happens, he had a form of cancer, he had problems in the ashram, he had many things going on. But it did not bother him. He was not unaffected because he was in that state. But till we are in that state, we need astrology as a fix to our daily issues and to understand a larger purpose in this play. That is the biggest purpose of astrology. It's not just make prediction, give some remedy, get someone married. People want to use astrology in that manner. That's why also, this constant defamation and stuff against astrology, Vedic astrology is spoken because people don't understand it in its full glory. In the full glory, it gives you the script. Now live your life in an empowered way. Do your dharma, do your karma. And understand which are the weak areas, work on them, don't have big expectations there, but work on them. So it is a complete map and it covers all areas of life. You go to a doctor, he will talk only about health. You go to an advocate, he's only going to talk about the law. But an astrologer has to talk about all the topics, whether it is your court case, whether it is your marriage, whether it is... Of course, there are some astrologers who are specialized in some things. But in general, we talk about everything and we talk about the general flavor of life. So, I would say that this is completely wrong, this is completely false, that if you are a spiritual practitioner, you don't need astrology. If you are a very faithful spiritual person, surrendered to God, you don't need astrology. Because that is not complete, in most cases. If someone is completely transcended and doesn't care about what happens in the world, doesn't care about how things pan out, then it's perfectly fine, The complete detachment from the results is there, then it's fine. Don't need astrology. You don't care the pipe is leaking in your house. Then why will you bother to call a plumber? It's okay, let the house flood. So, so those who talk about this, unlimited perspective where astrology doesn't apply, no, it will apply. Working with the Navagrahas, working with the 9 planets, the energies of the 9 planets, they are depicted as devatas, as archetypal figures, as sort of planetary gods, because it's easy to understand them as a personality rather than as a abstract energy. So working with the Navagrahas, working with the Graha Devatas, it's going to give you immense results. It's going to make your life much more harmonious. You'll fall in harmony. The harmony is different for different people, but you'll fall in harmony, and that will also enhance your routine, your life in such a way that you can make further strides in your spiritual practice. Okay, so it is very helpful. Jyotish is a Vedanga. It's a supporting, is very much supportive to all the Vedic endeavors that we have, and definitely it's not something unspiritual or something unwanted. So remove that notion from your mind and get the best of astrology. Understand your script, understand your purpose. Then yes, little bit of predictions, little bit of remedies, don't overdo it, and then it's beautiful. I get clients from all over the world. They're interested in what this knowledge is going to tell them. Of course, in 1 hour, 2 hours, in one session, astrologers also have a limitation. We are not sponsored by the royalty or the king. In earlier days, the astrologers were sponsored by the king, so they could do their research, they could endlessly work on these things. But we have certain limitations, but given those limitations, still a lot of valuable input can be given. And if you're continuously in touch with your astrologer, you can receive that guidance to shape each area of your life as per the script. Because only when you move as per your nature, as per your script, as per your design, things become more and more and more harmonious. If a fish tries to climb a tree and if a monkey tries to swim, it's going to be a disaster, right? So this is what we are talking about. So I've used a lot of examples, analogies to explain this. I hope it makes sense. If you have any comments, let me know. Cheers.